Welcome back. I've got Doug Noll online. Doug, how are you?
Hey, Michael, I am fantastic. How are you today?
I am really, really good. Really looking forward to our chat because you do some things that kind of turns our beliefs kind of upside down, and that's a good thing. So why don't you share a little bit about you, and then we'll jump into the conversation.
Sure. Sure. So basically what I do, and if for your audience that are listening and deciding whether or not they want to listen to me or not, is um, imagine being able to prevent any fight or argument of any kind from escalating out of control in less than 90 seconds. And so this is really for leaders and people in leadership positions who deal with difficult conversations, hard employees, toxic teams, or any conversation that makes you a little bit uncomfortable because emotions get strong. And just imagine what it would be like instead of being nervous or feeling a little incompetent or feeling anxious about what's going to happen and then behaving in a way that may not be best suited for the problem. Imagine what it would be like to be able to walk into any situation, no matter how intense, and know exactly what to say and how to say it with calm, confident compassion, knowing that in 90 to 120 seconds, you're going to lower the temperature almost instantly. Pretty cool, huh?
Sold. Yeah, and I'm a fairly cool person. I'm not saying like cool like hip. I'm saying, cool, mild, when I have, especially during really tense situations,
Right.
I tend to be the one in the room that ends up lowering the temperature,
There
both
you go.
both figuratively and literally. If there's a thermostat in there, I'm probably going to turn the
Right.
temperature down because I run
There you go.
warm. But I think it's important, and I know you've noticed this, over the last few years. It definitely seems like people's fuses keep getting shorter and shorter, and they'll have full-blown arguments in a grocery store over,
That's right.
you know, I was in line first, or, what we saw recently in sports, the woman that grabbed the baseball back from the kid, kind of situation. She definitely seemed angry, and it's like it's a baseball. But not knowing what's going on in that individual's life, my hunch is there's some things going on uh, that she's carrying around, and it kind
Mhm.
of unleashed it on that. But yeah, I would love to hear more on this premise, because usually everybody goes, okay, active listening, seek to understand, and make
All
sure you
bullshit.
pay attention, focus,
Uh-huh.
put down the distractions,
Right.
don't look at your eye binky, just
Right.
focus on the person. But uh,
None
still,
of that
what?
works. Michael, none of that works. It never has, it never will. Active listening does not work. Nonviolent communication does not work. Taking 10 deep breaths does not work. None of it works. It never has, it never will. It's all BS. It's all based on pseudopsychology going back to the 1950s. It started with a psychologist by the name of Thomas Gordon, who actually was accurate in what he was teaching, but all the people that followed him completely misconstrued what he was saying. And that's how we got into this passive voice, active listening. What I think you're feeling is X BS that we all know doesn't work. It just doesn't work. And yet we're still taught this stuff and we're told to do it. And when we do it, all it does is make stuff worse. I mean, how do you feel when somebody says, "Oh, Michael, I sense that you're really angry about this"? What does that do to you?
Well, depending, I'm Gen X, so I'm gonna have a sarcastic response to that,
Exactly correct.
which then all of a sudden just, oh,
It blows it up.
there's a little bit of fire here.
It
Well,
blows it up.
here's this. Let's see. I'm just gonna toss this open container of gasoline over towards the fire and see what happens. Yeah, boom. Yeah,
Exactly.
and then you're like, okay, here we go.
Exactly. All
And
right.
go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, so let's talk about what really works. And what really works is something that's counterintuitive and it's counternormative. Most people, when they first hear about this, think there is no way this is going to work. In fact, everything in my brain tells me this is not going to work. It's just going to make it worse. But the truth is, it's just the opposite. We've got brain scanning studies that show what happens when you engage in this process. And the process is called affect labeling, AFFECT Labeling, affect labeling. Basically, it means emotional validation. And what you're going to do is a three-step process. Somebody's really upset, or you're going to move into a difficult conversation, or you're going to walk into a team meeting where people are really escalated, and you've got to manage that intensity. The very first thing you're going to do is ignore everything that everybody's saying, completely ignore their words. And you learn to do that by simply quieting your mind and treating it all as white noise. And you only have to do this for 120 seconds. So you're not going to miss anything that's important. And we've all heard the angry words before. So, I mean, we can afford to not listen for 90 to 120 seconds. Then the second thing we're going to do is we're just going to quiet down, quiet our minds, and just absorb what's going on in the room. And our brains automatically will begin to detect the emotions that are coming up. We don't have to do anything. We don't have to think about it. We don't have to analyze. We don't have to cogitate. Our brains are hardwired for doing this. We've had this skill in us for over 1,000,000 years. We just don't use it. But now you use it. You just go quiet and just kind of like I'm doing right now. You just sort of watch and keep your mind empty and blank, and emotions will start coming up. And then the third step, and this is where the secret sauce is you're going to start labeling the emotions with a you statement. Michael, man, you are really pissed off. You're frustrated. You feel completely disrespected. Nobody's listening to you. You feel completely unappreciated and unsupported. And you're really worried and concerned. I'm going to tell you exactly what you're feeling using a you statement. I'm not going to go into that passive voice. What I think you're feeling is X. Or it seems like. I'm not going to ask questions. Gee, Michael, are you angry? I'm not going to do any of that. All I'm going to do is directly tell you what you're feeling. And here's what happens. When I label your emotion, there's a part of your brain called the right ventrolateral prefrontal cortex. And when I tell you exactly what you're feeling, I'm activating that part of your brain. And then it sends signals into the center of your brain, into the limbic system, to your amygdala, and basically downshifts your amygdala and all your negative emotional centers, downshifts them into a calm state. It happens every single time in every single human brain. And that's why it's so incredible. So ignore the words, read the emotions, validate those emotions with a simple you statement. You are. And that's how it works. Simple, easy, weird, really weird, but it works.
Yeah, it's amazingly simple, but again, it's connecting to, the wiring that we've had since we've been. And, anytime you can calm down the amygdala, or my nickname for the amygdala is Amy G.
There you go.
Amy G and I have an interesting relationship.
There you go.
And there are many times where I've told Amy she needs to just be quiet, because
That's right.
but again, now I'm,
You,
and it just, and actually, that just brought up a question. Uh, can you use this on yourself?
yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So you can engage in self-affect labeling. So I can say to myself, man, Doug, man, I'm really pissed off. I'm pissed off. I'm frustrated. I'm angry. I feel completely disrespected by these assholes. I I don't feel appreciated. I don't feel supported. And I'm really upset and unhappy and stressed. Boom. I immediately calm myself down. It's that fast. 90 seconds.
Yeah.
So you can do it yourself, and then you can do what's known as dyadic affect labeling, or other person affect labeling, where I'm going to help you self-regulate yourself, deregulate. I'm going to help you downshift your emotions by telling you what you're feeling, so I can activate that part of your prefrontal cortex that then sends out signals to the rest of the brain saying, okay, everything's cool, calm down. And that basically, I'm lending you my prefrontal cortex for the 90 seconds it takes for you to get back online to get control of yourself. And I have taught this just as I've been doing this for a long time, but I spent 10 years from 2010 to 2020 working in maximum security prisons here in California and also in Connecticut, training people serving life sentences without possibility of parole how to stop prison violence. And the first skill we taught them was how to do this. And once they got it, it took them a couple of weeks of practice to get it, but once they got it, everything changed. And today, of that, though I don't know, 10,000 people I probably trained over that period. 800 of our lifers who've graduated from our program have been released on parole in California. Not one of them has reoffended.
And that's such a beautiful result of what you do because in many situations, for those that are incarcerated, especially life sentences, and they get parole when when they went in, I don't think anyone would have guessed that they would have ever seen outside of
That's
those
right.
walls. But it shows two things, more than that. But one, that that they were willing and open to try something because yeah, prisons can be really violent. I used to have a neighbor many years ago, actually husband and wife, both worked at a state prison, and they were pretty big and strong, but it was still there's always a bigger fish in the sea kind of thing. So the big dude, and all of a sudden he's explaining to me the one of the inmates that he had a tussle with, and he's explaining to him like, were you in a wrestling ring? Was his name Andre the Giant or anything like that? Because it sounds like that's who you were wrestling. It's like that, how'd that go? But again, I think they would have benefited from that because the people that get incarcerated, they make a mistake in life, whatever it happens to be, and sometimes those mistakes were caused by a life filled of anger,
Hmm.
misunderstanding, all the things that your exercise helps them create. It's one of those things where I think about education, and not to point fingers at the education system, but we can, I guess. But this, if I knew of this, or if my parents knew of this capability, I know that they would have taught me this at a young
That's right.
age. And I think back to the generations of my family, especially on my dad's side. Mom's side, not so much, but dad's side in particular, lot of angry men. And,
That's right.
one of my favorite movies is 12 Angry Men,
Right.
which is just, I just love how that movie goes, but I haven't watched it in a long time. I'm going to watch it this weekend. But that just kind of carries through. And as children,
Generation to generation.
oh yeah, children see and they mimic, they're like,
Well,
okay,
that's right.
this is
We
how I'm
don't,
supposed to behave.
murderers are not born. Murderers are bred. So everybody that's listening right now, imagine, okay, so you're leaders and you're entrepreneurs and you've got businesses that you're running in large and small, but you're working with people. Now think about your personal life. Maybe you've got kids, maybe you've got a partner. What would it be like to never have a fight or argument again with the child? What would it be like to never have a fight or argument again with your partner? To be able to take any situation, any recurring argument that always comes up, that always gets everybody crazy and blown sideways, and never have that argument again. That's the promise of this skill, and it delivers. That's why it's so amazing. Um, Parents that use these skills on their children, starting at around 3 or 4, discover, and the research shows this, that by 12 years old, those children have the emotional maturity of a typical 21-year-old. They're 2 grade levels ahead in school from their peers, and they are universally liked by everybody because they have that emotional maturity and emotional competence that most other kids don't get because they aren't taught these skills or given these skills as small children. It's incredibly powerful.
When I think about, obviously relationships, we know the stats around marriages and, of
That's
course,
right.
crime, all the things we struggle with, even, and I avoid politics on the show as much as I possibly can, but
We can't avoid it. It's
no,
it,
it,
it's
it's,
it's
it's, it,
inundating us.
it literally, even in, sports and everything else, it's like, in sports for a lot of people are an escape, which
Right.
I appreciate that, but I'm more of the if I watch a sporting event is because I enjoy watching people that are at the top of their game compete. Because it's one of those celebratory type of things. It's like they've done so much to do this. I'm going to give them my valuable time to watch, to celebrate their craft, whatever it
That's right.
happens. And it could be the
Mhm.
same for watching a television show or a movie,
Sure.
like all the time and effort and all of that stuff. But with the arguments and the discord that we see in the world and have for a very long time, And it just seems to be getting more
And
and more polarized with the ease of social media to ease keyboard
right,
warriors, basically. Someone can
right.
go in and just slam somebody that they've never met in their life and
That's
just,
right.
you know,
Here's what's going on. The reason that there is so much anger and hatred is because we don't know how to listen to each other. People, when people engage in arguments and fights and anger, it's because they have a deep unconscious need to be heard and validated. And the only way they know how to make that cry is through being really rude and angry and loud with the idea that if I shout loud enough, maybe somebody will pay attention to me and validate me. On social media, I have a pretty big social media presence. And when people do stuff, say, you know, snarky things to me, all I do is I just label their emotions in the comment. Oh, you're really upset. You're angry. You're frustrated. You don't feel heard. And they go away. And the studies show, again, other sets of studies shows that when you do that in texting or in other types of social media situations, all you do is label the emotion they're feeling when they're being angry or snarky. They calm down automatically. And it takes away. Imagine what it would be like if we just had 10 out of 100 people could do this skill, could listen to emotions and reflect them and help people calm down, how different our society would be today. And it's my mission to make that happen.
yeah, and that's one of the biggest reasons why I wanted you on the show because this is, I'm, you know, I'll label it myself. I'm upset on how people are behaving. I don't want people to hurt each other.
That's right.
It's why? Because I don't want to be hurt,
Exactly.
and
So let me,
go ahead.
I was going to say, let's talk for a second, since you brought it up. Let's talk about how do you have a calm conversation with a politically polarized? How do you sit down and really have a conversation with Uncle Charlie, who is just so radically different in his beliefs that you can barely stand to be in the same room with him? How do you do that? You do it this way. You're going to ask 4 questions. Question number one: hey, Uncle Charlie, tell me about all the life events that brought you to the beliefs that you have today? What happened in your life that helped you form the beliefs that you form today? And Charlie starts talking, and then I start labeling his emotions. Oh, so you were really frustrated, you were upset, angry, whatever it might be, and positive emotion too. And that made you really happy and excited. That's all you do. You don't try to argue back. You don't try to persuade anybody. All you do is just label what his emotional experience is. Then the next question is, so Uncle Charlie, tell me, how do your beliefs help you today? How do they help you get through life? How do they help you navigate through life? And the same thing again, I'm going to listen and I'm going to reflect his emotions, not his words. Third question: Charlie, what do you do when you run across people who have different beliefs than you do that you really disagree with? How do you handle that? And sometimes the snarky Rouhani, of course, I get out, I'm not going to talk about that because we're in a really tense situation right now, but sometimes you get that snarky remark and somebody responds, oh, I'll be violent. And so you just label that. So it's really upsetting and you want to get rid of that upset. So you consider taking action. Notice that I'm not arguing. I'm not counter arguing. I'm not trying to be heard myself. All I'm doing is listening. And then the last question is, so Uncle Charlie, how do you think our society should organize itself to account for all of these radically different opposing beliefs that float out everywhere? How should we be? How should we organize ourselves? And again, you label his emotion. Whatever his emotions, as he comes up, he's going to get very emotional about it. You just label him. And what you will discover, and everybody who's listening, what you will discover if you do this, if you ask these 4 questions and listen and not try to persuade or argue, is that you will have far more in common with Uncle Charlie than you could ever possibly believe. And you only have some really pretty minor differences relative to everything that you have in common. And that's the kind of conversation we need to be having with people right now. So the
That's
4 questions are: what are your life experiences that led you to the beliefs that you have today? Number 2, how do those beliefs serve you? How do they help you navigate your day-to-day life? Number 3, how do you deal with people who have different beliefs than you do? And number 4, how should our society be organized to accommodate all of these different beliefs?
four
And
simple questions that
and
would
then
change the
that's right.
world.
It'll change the world. And remember, you're not here to be heard. You're not here to argue. You're not here to persuade. It doesn't matter whether Charlie's right or wrong. What matters is that you're taking the time to listen him into existence and validate his feelings because those are real. And when you do that, you will find common ground.
And from there, then if you so choose at that time or another time, you could, share your viewpoints on it. But
If Charlie is willing to listen,
that, yeah, that's the thing. It
but
takes
that's
two to
okay. He
it
may
takes
not
two to
be.
say, yeah, but it at least from it diffuses the situation, where
Absolutely.
to the point where instead of avoiding going to Thanksgiving dinner because Uncle Charlie is there, you're going to go, you know what? I'm going to go because the last conversation I had with Uncle Charlie was this. And when we left, we hugged, and we haven't done that since I was in
That's right.
sixth grade. And you'll
That's
see it
right.
again. And,
That's right. It
you know,
becomes a self-affirming practice because it automatically calms everything down. And you have the confidence to know you can walk into any situation, whether it's Thanksgiving dinner or the boardroom, and use these skills to calm people down and make them feel heard, which makes them want to follow you as a leader. We talk about psychological safety, Amy Edmondson's work at Harvard. How do you create psychological safety? Listen other people into existence. It's it. That's all you do. You are angry. You're pissed off. You're frustrated. Just tell people what they're feeling. And in leadership, what I find is I coach leaders in this stuff. They find out that the conversations that they really dread all of a sudden are transformative, and they take about a third less time with not only no resentment, but a newfound loyalty and trust between you and the people you're listening to. Incredible. It's the most powerful leadership skill you can learn.
yeah,
Really amazing.
yeah, it's incredible. And I think every organization, every individual needs to learn it because
I agree.
it'll change the world. So there's only 8 billion of us. So catch up. Let's go.
Well, yeah, well, that's going to turn around eventually, I guess.
There you exactly. There will be a rotation. So
That's right.
much like college sports, every couple of years, there's a brand new team of players. So
That's right.
but awesome. Love this conversation. Where can people find out more about you and this amazing work you're doing, Doug?
So here's the thing. I'm on LinkedIn a lot. I actually have put together for the audience, for everybody who's listening, if you're interested, what I call my peace kit. And basically, what it is, it's access to a little de-escalate advisor that I've created on ChatGPT, and all you do is plug in your situation, and it'll coach you on what to say and how to say it. And in addition, I'm given access to my how to deal with anger and aggression. It's an online 4-week video course. I typically sell it for $2,000. I'm just giving it for free for anybody who wants it. And the way to get all that is either go to LinkedIn and DM me at Douglas Noll, Noll, or maybe even easier, just email me. I'm a solo practitioner. I don't have a huge staff. You can just email me. I answer all my own emails, Doug, D-O-U-G, at dougnoll.com, and just put in breakfast 25 in the subject line so I know it came from you. And I'll reply right back with links to get access to all of this. And that's how you get started in this stuff. And then once you get started from there, if you want more stuff, then we can have a Zoom call and talk about what else might be of interest to you. I've got books and all kinds of stuff out there. And of course, coach and train and teach people how to do this. And my mission in life is to teach as many people as possible how to do this and to teach other people how to teach other people to do this so it spreads like wildfire. That's the goal. So DM me LinkedIn at Douglas Noll. Put in the DM breakfast 25, or just send me a direct email, doug@dougnoll.com. And that's how people can get in touch with me. And my website, of course, is dougnoll.com. I got a ton of resources on my website, so check it out.
Definitely will. So thank you so much for that generous gift to the audience. And audience, please take this up. I know I tell people that all the time, but I really want you to do this because I want our world better. And I hopefully you do too. And if not, then we can have a conversation and I will practice what Doug has taught us today to figure out, oh, you're angry about this and
There
everything
you
else.
go.
But so
Perfect.
the only way to get good at it is to do it. So
That's
uh,
right. And give Michael a 5-star review. Don't
always
leave right
appreciate
now
that.
until you give him a 5-star review. I gave him a 5-star review. He
Well, I
deserves it. He
appreciate
gets it. That's what he needs.
I
So if
appreciate that.
you don't have to listen to me, but go listen to him.
There
Michael's
you
doing
go.
an amazing job.
Thank you so much, Doug. Appreciate it. And thank you again for your time today. Really
You're
enjoyed our
welcome. Thank
conversation.
you. Thank you.